welcome to Data Wizard. So this video will be a bit different from my previous videos. I am currently running a video series where I am working on a data project from scratch. I'm trying to retrieve data from a particular YouTube channel called Free Code Cam. You might have heard about it, you might not have heard about it. It's a place where people learn different technologies for free. They have a lot of tutorials and it's a good channel to subscribe to. Apart from that, so the whole project is I'm retrieving a lot of likes, comments, views to understand what technologies are in demand, and that's what I wanted to do for this project. And this series that I'm making is completely raw, so I haven't looked at the YouTube API at all, and I'm trying to, do it directly on while I'm like first time reading the API, trying to understand the documentation, Googling things. I wanted to show the raw research process that goes behind the whole coding project you might want to start. So this is how you do it. That's what I was trying to explain. And during this particular project in my previous video, I wrote a code which I think is not good. And this, you might even consider it as a testing code that I was doing because I haven't tried the whole YouTube data API at all. So, for example, there is a particular request you need to make to a YouTube playlist resource to get the response that you want for that resource. So eventually, while during the video, I figured out that I will need to make another request to get a next page token for us to go to the next page of the playlist. So the max results were coming 50, and then there are a lot more videos than that and a lot more playlists than that. For that to happen, we need to make another request. That is completely fine. But because the video was getting too long, I just ended up writing two for loops to show you guys that this is the final result of the project code. But at the end of the video, I said I will eventually better the code and show how to write a better code compared to this particular test code I have written. So that's what we are planning to do today. I'm trying to explain you guys how I've changed my code. So this is something I thought of while I was making my previous video, that I thought I might need this particular code repetitively and I don't want to copy paste this particular code again and again. So there's a thing called functions, which is usually there in every coding language, wherein if you don't want to repeat certain lines of codes again and again, and you might need it on the fly anytime in the future, you can just put that particular lines of code into a function to be able to reuse it again whenever you want it. So if I want to reuse this particular function, I would just do this, which is very easy. And you put in the required API key, channel ID, max results, and run the code, and you will get everything you want. That's about it. So that's how it makes your life easier. That's what I've thought. I might need it again, so I decided to put it inside a function wherein I made two requests. The first request is getting the response of that particular max 50 results, but there are total 73 playlists inside that particular channel. So there is a next page token involved wherein I need to get next page token from the first response and then use that next page token to make another request for us to go ahead with the next page of that particular playlist section that is left. That is the other 23 videos that are not showing up this in this particular response. So that's what happens here. Suppose there are not 73. Suppose there are 300 playlists in a particular channel. So I decided to put this particular thing in a while loop. So until there's a next page token in each of the responses, this particular code will keep running for us. And it will keep making requests until we have retrieved all the YouTube playlists from that particular channel. And see, so the difference is I made two for loops here for that particular code to work for that moment. Because suppose if there are more than 200, 300 playlists in a particular channel, these two for loops wouldn't have worked because this is just getting me the next page. That's about it. What if there are 4, 5, 7 pages of playlists? So that's why a while loop helps here way better than for loops. So until there's a next page token, it will keep retrieving things for us. That's about it. I'm sorry, this got commented out. Anyway, So moving forward, so this the way to write a better code is to understand what things are repeating in itself in a code. These two particular things were repeating, so I put it inside a function in just one while loop, and it will keep running until all the pages have been all the playlists from all pages have been retrieved. And yeah, this is how you look at your code and try to understand how to make it better. Also, I have done something called a list comprehension here, wherein you write a for loop in just one line of code. So this is the same code that we have here in one line. That's about it. It might be a bit confusing if you're new with list comprehensions. I'll be honest, even I was very much confused for a very long period of time. I didn't understand how to use list comprehensions, but eventually I figured it out, and I never used that. I was just sticking to the usual for loop, and I still do that. Only when I need to optimize my code, that's when I use list comprehensions to cut down my code a bit shorter, more readable. So that's how you do it. It's the same thing. See, the basically it's retrieving item IDs here as well for item and response items. That's the only thing that's happening. There's nothing different from it. It's just how it's written. So yeah, so my advice would be look at your code, try to see what things you might need in the future. If you need something in the future, you could put it in a function like I have done it. And yeah, you see if you need which loop. For example, if you need to continuously keep running code until certain condition is met, then a better for loop to run will be while loop instead of for loop. So yeah, keep in mind that there are different loops that you can use. And yeah, that's about it. You can also do one more thing to make your code better readable. You can write out comments to show the person who is reading your code whether, suppose, this particular function didn't have a straightforward name such as get playlist IDs. If this was not straightforward, you could also write this function retrieves playlist IDs. It's that simple. Always try to comment parts of your code for people to understand what you have exactly written or what this particular line of code is doing. For example, I've written this particular line is making the first request, and this particular portion is continuing to the next page request, and it keeps continuing until there's a next page token that is not gone from the response. I could have worded it a bit better. I'm stupid sometimes. Anyway, moving forward, so you can write comment here as well. So commenting is a good part, and usually you should try to do that because suppose you are in a particular software engineering interview where you have to explain your code that you have written for a particular project. What do you think is better, this code or the second one where it looks more professional? The hiring manager is an experienced person, so if he looks at this code, he'll be like, "What have you written? Why have you written this? There are so many things could have done better." And if he sees this video, he'll think that this is a bit more professional code that you have written. You have thought about it. You have optimized your own code, and it shows that you know what you're doing, because optimizing your code is very important. Because when it comes to resources, for example, some code might run for 4 hours, and you need to do a few things to reduce it to 2 hours. So the optimization part is very important when it comes to software engineering and coding in general. And you need to optimize your code to run better, to save a lot of resources that a different code might take, and you need to save a lot of things. So keep in mind, understand how a code is written, what you have written, and see if you can try to make it better. Of course, you might not understand it if you're new, but if you aren't new, you might know how to get it better, and you might know to look where I can optimize a code, where I can make it better. You will understand it with time. If you don't understand it, you can always Google how to optimize your code, or you can use ChatGPT for your help, because I'll be honest, AI is something that's built to help us. So if ChatGPT is helping you optimize your code, you can do that, but make sure you understand what it's doing, because if you don't understand what it's doing, then you haven't learned how to optimize the code. You won't do it properly if you are in an interview next time, or you are in a professional space where you can't use ChatGPT because it breaches a lot of company information data that might get to OpenAI, and that company might not want to disclose it. So that's why I would suggest that understand what ChatGPT is doing if you are using ChatGPT to optimize your code. Understand what it does. Make sure use AI to learn rather than just copy paste. Understanding the code is very important. It sometimes it might take few hours for you to understand, but it's time well spent, I would suggest. Anyway, that's it from my side for this particular video. This is the example I have shown, but there might be a lot of different things going on in your code. You need to sit and read out your code to see where you can make it smaller, make it more fast, Google a few things here and there to understand how to optimize your code. That's about it from my end. My next video will come soon, depends on when I get the time. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching Data Wizard. I'll take your leave. Good day.